the computer, great. Okay,
Yeah.
participants.
Do you see it on there?
Nope.
The other thing about citizens like using state bridges and roads is that the ferry service being a part of DOT, somebody from Monson could come here and ride the ferry as if they wanted to. Just as we could drive from Rockland to Monson and cross all the bridges and roads. Like, it's not a tit for tat or
No.
like.
It's not a community, like, it's the state of Maine, like, I just have such a hard time saying that. It is sector to certain municipalities and.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi, Pat. Can you hear us okay? Can you hear us, Pat?
I hear you.
Okay, we're just waiting on Rebecca to join. Thank you.
I'll text her.
You just asked why we haven't started yet.
Do we have warrants?
No, she said Joette's on vacation and Kylie just had that one thing for us to sign.
For the sewer? Do we know what are these here, do we not?
Those should be the letters from Van Note and then Owlsboro.
Well, she can't.
This
unless
one-
I log out and do my.
That's the roof for the, or no, I lied. That's for the heat pumps for the fitness center.
Yeah, so this was our.
Is Jacqueline not?
Nope.
She's not.
Oh, sorry. She's just not in the waiting room. I mean, I can send this link and. Oh, there's
Oh, there.
Rebecca. Great. You wanna text Jacqueline?
Sure, I
Yes.
don't know if I. I'm just trying to remember if I've texted her and
I have her.
will you do it?
Yep.
Okay.
You should be on that group on it.
I just don't know if she,
I have her Australia
Check it.
yeah.
one.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry about that. I was in, I actually opened it up early, then when apparently you guys logged in, it kicked me out.
That's what I figured probably happened.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm just texting Jacqueline.
Yeah, that's all from you there.
Oh, great.
Did you get these?
No, I didn't.
It's the full.
It looked like there was an
Oh,
extra.
is this the new one? Oh, this is today. Okay, great.
All good? We'll wait, yeah. You can join. It's time.
Yeah, I'll just let you know if she responds to me.
I call the North Haven Select Board to order. May 7th, 2025. Adjustments to the agenda.
I don't have any.
Thank you. So if John joins, that's under town administrator.
Updates, yeah.
Okay. Looking for approval of minutes of April 16th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Josie, Kenny, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Public comment, Pat, would you like to make one?
No, thank you, Jeremiah.
Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Consent items, looking for a motion to approve all the warrants listed below.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Kenny, Josie,
Is that the one walking? Oh, yes, thanks.
any discussion?
I just have one point on the payroll, mentioned it to Rebecca, I just want to reiterate the timesheets for payroll, there's no timesheets in this payroll warrant for water and sewer employees.
For water and sewer. Thank you.
We did, was that for the employees that just get the, rather than being paid hourly, they're on
Salary
salary
could be, I'm not
because.
sure who was on salary versus hourly.
Jack, I think they're all hourly.
That's what I thought. but-
So- Okay, I want to apologize. I thought I had time to look into that when we were looking at everybody. So I apologize for not addressing that already. But
Thank
I
you.
will talk to the treasurer and the sewer and water clerk.
Okay,
Thank you.
It could be something that if the reason that there is not a timesheet is because they're on salary, something like a very brief description of what they have done within that time period could be a helpful, like, just rather than them having to fill out a timesheet.
We did talk about it, but no, so they do get a set amount. But we will make this a priority to get this looked at.
Thank you.
thank you, Rebecca.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Thank you.
Jacqueline said that she is having a hard time logging in. Should I invite her?
That sounds like her issue.
I sent her the link and everything.
Yeah, it sounds
She
like
says the meeting is scheduled for Thursday, May 15th.
Whoop.
I don't know.
Give me a minute.
Okay, I'll just say, try it again.
Try,
Well, it's the same link every 2 weeks, so I don't know why.
Okay,
try, I got you.
Did somebody? Oh,
Is she
If
on,
she goes to the
Seventh
website,
meeting.
well, she had time on it, should have had a meeting.
Yeah, that's all, she
that's
knows.
another meeting.
But I would be here.
Any correspondence, Rebecca? We
there
got
is no
some-
correspondence for this week, no.
Old business. The Alexander parking lot, please.
So I gave you guys in your packets, updated, lease. I happened to talk to Adam. He was bringing me across and talked to Jeremiah a little bit. So one thing that was thought of is, paying the taxes for that portion of the parking lot, every year. And I spoke to Tammy, that portion of the parking lot is estimated to be 14,688 square feet. So we didn't put an amount in there because I would like the lease for at least 5 years. And of course, mill rates change, so I couldn't have put a set amount in there.
So are they looking? I guess to have the town pay the yearly upkeep for $500 and they're looking for more on top of that?
So yeah, the town would upkeep it every year, and then look at covering the taxes. He didn't necessarily agree to it, but he said that that was more palatable, I think, for him. Sorry, I'm trying to get Jacqueline into the.
It's all,
Oh,
it's
sorry.
all good.
what has the current lease has been that we have paid them for use of the parking lot.
I was also hoping to get a
I
little
think
bit more clarity.
Yeah, so
Basically as like a town rental.
so I think initially we just fixed the parking lot, so it wasn't a big swamp. And then
Right.
put in culverts and then all that fill. And
Yep.
it was, I think it
And
was.
that was the 16,000.
Oh, there she is. I see her, Rebecca.
yeah,
Okay.
17,900.
17, And so there's those two things. That was out of pocket of the town. And then there's an additional 500 a year
That's just for maintenance.
for maintenance. And then the 3,200,
That is broke up
Yeah,
for a
so-
5-year period, 16,000. If they were to break the lease before the 5 years was up, they would owe. Because it was basically an exchange, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, 16,000 was estimated to do what Jeremiah said.
yeah.
And then there was a 5-year period, so if either party broke that, then that, they broke it down, the 16,000 over
Got it,
5
okay.
years.
Thank you.
So there was no, from my understanding, there was no money paid on behalf of the town to the landowners.
No,
It was just
no,
a
it was
matter of creating
covering,
the space.
Yep, see how it
And
goes
then
and then.
reassess after 5 years.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I was trying to make that make sense.
And so
That's fine.
are we at the 5 years right now?
So the lease is expired. We
That's
have
fine.
no lease. So yeah. And then there's no, the $500 is also an estimate of what the upkeep might cost. So 1 year there might not be anything, but you know, maybe some,
Mhm.
I don't know. But that was an estimated cost. Yeah.
Yeah. So that $500 estimated annual maintenance fee may or may not be used, and that would be from roads and bridges.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just thinking like on the taxes, like say if we do some kind of tax incentive, I mean, we're only using it, what, June to September or
Yeah, but
October?
It's
For,
July.
I think for the whole year for that portion was like 200 and something dollars. It wasn't a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say. Parking is like one of the main issues that I hear people come to the select board and the town about is parking downtown. So I do think that if we can collaborate, you know, whatever, I think it is really going to behoove us to give them some incentive to stay in the lease.
Yeah.
Like, I would hate for it to be a matter of a couple of $100 or you know, whatever. To not go forward with another lease.
Yeah.
I echo those sentiments. I think parking is such a issue and it's just going to continue to be an issue and maybe more of an issue. And so I think if we can work out a lease that feels okay financially, I think we've already invested a lot of money into it and it would be in the town's best interest to keep that parking available.
Yeah, well, I don't know what another option would be
Yeah.
if we took that away.
Yeah,
I mean, when we
Right.
repainted the lines in the ferry parking lot and we talked to Hopkins Wharf, I think we gained 3 spots total. And that wasn't even close to enough.
Mhm.
And then that's when we came up with that parking spot above Calderwood and also that one across the street. But-
Mhm.
yeah,
And then we also talked to the ferry ticket office to have it where the cars could line up prior and they don't leave their overnight cars there all day, so.
yeah,
Mhm.
And it still didn't do enough, but it becomes a safety issue when you can't run a fire truck through downtown
Oh, yeah.
safely, so. Yeah,
Rebecca, can I ask a clarifying question with the email attachment at the end of the updated lease that you put in the packet?
Yep.
Is the correspondence with Adam on Monday, March 31st, is that in response to the updated lease that we have?
No, that was in response to not offering pretty much anything except for the upkeep.
Okay. So in response to that March 31st email, the updated lease has offered to pay the taxes. Has that offer been discussed with Adam, or are you waiting on the board's decision about?
So it was briefly discussed with him and he seemed to be interested. But I just, you know, the go ahead to make it a formal offer. I was waiting on the select board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
no, I think that's That's a good way to do it moving forward, I think.
Do you feel like offering to pay the taxes is, enough of an incentive for them to re-sign the lease?
I think, where the estimated 16,000, we were over that by, I think it was a little over $1,000. I think that we should offer it and see what he says.
Okay, great.
I mean, might come back and say that he would like a little bit more. But I think it's, at least a fair offer, especially when we're doing upkeep and stuff like that.
Well, I would, while I agree with Amelia and Josie, I think that the initial town investment in the property for 2 months worth of use over the past 5 years was a pretty substantial cost to the taxpayers for that use, or limited use. And overall, while it provides a great benefit to the community in July and August, it also provides a benefit to the landowners as well as the business associated with that property. So I'm not trying to say, I'm not in any way saying that we shouldn't entertain trying to work with something other than, paying the taxes, but I think we need to have like some sort of like cap on what
Boundary.
that would be.
If that was a 10-year lease, that would have made a lot.
That would have been a big difference
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
Totally.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more just getting our foot in the door and
Totally.
getting something going.
I feel
also-
comfortable with starting the offer of the taxes, but I think, being clear that we would like to, stay open to trying to work together to make something work.
Do you have
You
something?
guys
Jack?
want? Oh,
Well, I
sorry.
was just gonna say, not that we necessarily want to get into any other arrangements with private landowners, and I know we've had issues with the church and they're kind of in an interesting place, but I know that they need funds to support their programming and that paying for all of that. So one thought to think of is before we maybe make another offer towards the Alexander property, maybe it's worth looking at other properties in town, and maybe the church is something to think about. I don't know, but just throwing that out there. But I agree with what everyone else has said this evening.
I kind of feel like we're getting so close to summer that we should get going with this one.
Yeah.
Is my personal opinion.
It's coming quick.
It's coming.
I
You
think
need a
it's
vote?
definitely worth to re-approach them with the lease as said. But it does, I kind of lean towards what Kenny's saying as well, like how much more money would we want to offer? We did put a significant amount in, and it's used frequently by them throughout the summer too. I see a lot of trailers, moving across that property, and but I definitely, wouldn't want to burn that relationship by any means at all. But I sense the strain for the taxpayers right now. Not that that's not that much money, but yeah.
You need a vote on that, Rebecca?
Once it's agreed upon, then you vote to sign it and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Airport survey results.
So, in your packets, you actually have the calculated results. As you can see that, runway accessibility is, for the majority. I mean, we didn't have a lot of people fill out surveys, but, it's very important. The majority supports exploring runway improvement options. They do not support a brand new runway like behind the fire station. That is clearly a no-go. And then those who filled it out, the majority said they would rarely use it, once or less in a year. There were concerns. Majority of people did have concerns, and those concerns were too expensive, environmental issues, no funding to cover entire costs, taxes already too high, litigation issues, and any additional costs. Uses, if more accessible air travel, there was pleasure, emergencies, shopping and errands, work, mail delivery, friends and family coming to the island, catch Cape Air flights or after ferry hours, ease burden on ferry, and focus should be on, well, then somebody else put in there, focus should be on sewer and water upgrades as long as Watson's is still available for emergencies. So the additional comments, there was quite a few. Some of them I did leave out because some of them were not helpful. So, you know, one of the concerns was change in the character of North Haven, having outsiders coming in, less access to housing, wetlands behind public safety building, but that's a no-go. That was very clearly voted down. Air travel for wealthy residents, visitors, and contractors, no thank you. I mean, you can see them there. I mean, then you have people who say the town needs an airstrip with unlimited access. Negotiate with Witherspoons and with Mr. Meigs. So, I mean, you can see an array. People do want to look into options for what we currently have. So that would be Witherspoons, Watson's, and possibly the road beside Watson's. But as far as a brand new runway behind the fire station, that's a no-go. So, and I did speak to Shay McDougal from AVS, and that is something that he can do as well, because we had looked at, he provided a some information on looking at runway behind the public safety building. But he said he's also could do looking at Witherspoons and Watson's. And
Is that something, should we reach out to Meg's and Watson's again and just see where their head's at? If it's changed at all since last time we've talked, because that. They weren't, but neither.
so
neither
are you
was
talking about
budget.
Witherspoons?
Witherspoons or Watson's, I mean.
So
just
I
reach
talked,
out- Sorry.
I talked to Catherine Shedis a few months ago, and she said that they have not changed their minds, that how it is how they want it.
Is she the family representative?
Currently, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how often that gets voted on, but
Mhm.
Do they know that one of the options is putting one right next to it?
No.
I didn't know. Well, I mean, we're just looking at possible, options. I mean, they even said. Like some of the pilots were saying they shut down main roads and just put a cattle gate and. Use it as an airstrip.
actually, when we had
Sorry.
our meeting, Jeremiah, I think you were in the meeting, Lifelight actually said that is an option.
Yes,
Really?
Yep.
To put, yeah,
it's narrow though, so that little tree divide that's
Yeah.
on
Mm.
Watson's would probably go away all the time. But I was just wondering if they knew that was one of our options, if they would be willing to negotiate.
that's an adjustment approach.
I don't know, I know Meg's we're already flying pretty close, so. Without moving
mean-
the town road.
So what are you wanting me to put, like a letter together? Asking, what are you asking me to do?
I'm just
It might be worth talking to the Megses. I mean, sounds like you got a sort of definitive answer from the Watsons. But in terms of, I'm not sure what the last conversations with the Megses were. I mean, from what I have heard, they did not want to explore any options, but that could be worth just a touch base, and we're looking at, access to air travel. Would you be willing to have a conversation with us? I mean, it could be a no, but with a lot of this feedback, asking us, to try, could be worth every couple of years, just seeing.
Yeah, I think if we just say what the survey results said and that the town doesn't want a third airstrip on an island this size, that we have to make whatever we have work
Mhm.
and what our options are, whether that's Witherspoon's or Watson's, but
So that would be acquiring the land across the street, right? Is
The
that what?
land behind
Behind Meg's.
Oh, the
yeah,
tree. Okay, okay.
the tree lot or whatever. I mean, the hard thing about it is that it would be a lot of, a lot of that is wet. I don't know if it's considered wetland, but it is wet tree area back there, so. Would take
we
a
went
lot.
back
Well,
and forth. I mean, they let us clear enough to just make pretty much a
Just.
Right.
a
Well,
longer approach.
maybe,
but-
maybe the Meg's is, and Witherspoon Strip, and even just seeing. Utilizing the funds that we have in this area
Mhm.
currently for study purposes to get, what's the gentleman's name again that we were on Zoom with?
Shane,
Shane,
Jay McDougall with ABS Engineering.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be worthwhile to see if, before we approach Meg's with any formal requests or anything of that nature, just to see, having look at the site where we would need to extend into
It's a
their
lot.
property to
Yeah.
see if it's even something that we
Yeah.
could legally cut in terms of
Right.
like the
Yeah.
wetland,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, if we approach Meg's with like, we'd like to pursue this piece of property before we know we can even develop it, it seems to be putting the cart before the horse.
yeah, that may be a good, reach out to Shane, see what we would need to do with the existing Witherspoon's lot. On the opposite road, so in that tree lot, how far back would we need to go to have it be a viable?
And we could look into what the town right of way is along the sides of the road and how much wood could be cleared on that section of North Shore by Watson's Airstrip for what we were talking about to see. That could be also something potentially if he was going to come here, is to look and see how much right of way on both sides of the road up near Watson's that we could actually cut to clear for landing purposes on the road and that whole scenario, like, so we've got two potential options to like look into and
Mm-hmm,
that could sort of. If that work is being done and it's publicly, the public is aware of that, that might spur Watson's to reconsider a little bit. I mean, they have no control over the town landing. If we could land safely in that same area, it's doing the same thing that they're trying to avoid, so they might be more amenable to working with us.
I mean, those
Yeah.
telephone poles are right on the roadside of
Mm.
Holmgren, so it would have to go,
Into the.
yeah.
Can
Um,
someone remind me the current, the current contract with Watson's or the current agreement? It's like twice a week.
I think it's one flight a day.
Oh, in the summer though? Maybe
All the
different in
time.
winter?
No, it's so in the winter months, it's
September.
up to I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's two a day in the summertime.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So-
but I did talk, Shane said he could look at all of these options, plus look at, what does, if the town thought of, looking at taking property. So that is something he can look at all of those options.
Does he have
Could we
to-
also ask, oh, sorry. I
Go
was just
ahead.
wondering if we could get some data from Penobscot Island Air about those two flights in the summer and how much they're utilized. Are they utilized fully, like the plane is full? Just out of curiosity, just to have that info might be good too.
So when I spoke to Catherine from Watson, she said, I can't remember if it was in 2020 or 2021, when they opened it back up to unlimited flights, they were getting 17 flights a day, which is a lot for an island. So
Mostly now.
They they asked us to group the flights, so we did 3 waves. So it was like the morning, they would drop off all the contractors. And midday, they would drop off the mail and then they would come back and pick up the contractors. So they asked us to do that in order for us to get that lease for the summer.
I mean, it's kind of wasted breath, but I mean, I'd be curious if things were to transpire with Watson's to like really look at past flight logs, because I mean, I'm not there 24/7, but I do live right at the end of that strip, and there's a lot of flights that I remember that summer, because then that summer was the summer that they put together a petition to like end that whole scenario, but there weren't 17 flights coming in and out of there.
I thought it was like 12, but
It was like 9 or 12, no,
Yeah, Catherine just said up to
Yeah.
17.
yeah.
And I asked for the flight records and she said she no longer has them.
Mm.
so you just want to reach out to Shane for now and see if he can point us in the right direction before we reach out to the homeowners?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can have them redo a new thing. Because I think that one was pretty specific to the public safety building land. So
Yes.
I can have them write something new up. Yep, I can bring it to the next meeting.
Yeah, even with the Google Maps or any kind of overlay would be helpful.
So is that something we need to allocate, now to move forward with him, or would that be, approving payment, down the road?
So he said that it wouldn't be more than what he had in his last
Right,
proposal, which was 15,000. So I mean,
Yeah.
you guys could vote to not to exceed 15,000. And
there
that
was,
would
like,
come from the airport reserve.
which had like 40 something in reserve, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Do we want to make a motion to max 15,000 for study in the 2 areas?
I don't know, I was kind of wondering what he would say if he just did an overlay right now. And just show us like how much property that would have to take.
Rather than a full study.
And then we contact the property
Property
owners. Like say if it's only like a couple thousand or 4,000 to do an overlay and then we can contact them and just see. I mean, when I looked at it before, it like goes right across the road and then it goes right to like Meg's house. It's like,
Oh,
I just don't see him agreeing on that,
yeah.
so.
Mhm.
But if we could get any kind of overlay, it would at least where we could talk to the property owners.
But that, I mean, if we get what Kenny was saying, that if we can't even build there anyway, the overlay won't. Because if it's wetlands, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if through like a Googler, if he could really pinpoint that that's not even a developable piece of land for what we're looking to do. I mean, in terms of allocating money towards this, we had initially planned just under $15,000 for a study in that one spot that the public has clearly said they're not interested in. If we were to cap it at 15,000 for 2 different areas to see and not to exceed, doesn't mean that it necessarily has to come in at 15, but I just think to have some leeway for 2 different options. But you're saying, Rebecca, that we don't necessarily have to allocate right now, and that could happen at like another meeting?
Yeah, he wouldn't do anything unless the board voted to accept
To approve
doing it.
funds. Okay, well then,
That's where we're at. And you said we had 40,000
$40-something thousand are in there, yeah.
and we wouldn't even need that for much anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it seems like at least from the survey, the town is asking to try to utilize the 2 airstrips that we currently have. And seems like one of the ways to do that is to move forward with getting a study done of the two current airstrips to see what alterations would need to be made there in order to make at least the Witherspoons viable. So I think that that sounds like the best next step.
Alright, looking for a motion to approve 15,000 to have Shane McDougal survey the two current airstrips.
So moved.
Josie,
I would second it with a max of 15,000 for the study.
up to
Up
15,000,
to, yeah.
Up to,
up to,
second up to 15,000.
max is up to. Any discussion?
I just had one last little piece. Has anyone ever talked to Eric Hopkins about the airstrip he was building for himself? I don't know if future down the line, it might be worth asking about that space. It's directly across the road. I don't know. But just another thought if we are in a bind, but
Yeah, I
That
don't
was
know
it.
about the airstrip, but I mean, he was very helpful in clearing on that side of the road. In
Okay.
case of emergencies and, yeah. No,
I
he's
don't know
very
if he's continuing if he, even, I don't even know how far he got on it, but I know that that was something he was doing. So, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Witherspoons and Eric have both been very willing to work with the town, but it would mean going across the road.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Thank you.
So
Sewer, oh,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry, go ahead.
sewer rate change?
This is, just to provide you information, the changes that you guys voted on prior on, I think it was last month for the rate changes are included in this. And, we will hold a hearing, it'll be a part of the select board's meeting on the 21st. So it's kind of for your information, and then Kylie will need you guys to vote and sign the paper that was on the table when you guys showed up.
Yeah, we've been signing up.
I just had some like grammatical edits and stuff. Is that? Should send those to Kylie? Should I talk to the whole board about them? What's this?
No, that letter's already been sent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is just kind of a heads up that, letting everybody know that it'll be discussed on the 21st.
Okay.
And so people can ask questions and get them answered.
Okay. I did not see anything in there about the change to,
Reader,
yeah,
That would be.
Change to what was it?
to the
Turn-
water meter,
So
That's
water
your-
has to go through PUC.
Right,
This is strictly sewer.
so this.
Right.
That's a big meeting.
we're looking for a motion to approve the sewer rate change.
So moved.
Kenny,
Second.
Josie, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Good. Good,
Sorry. Do we think that this warrants a separate meeting so people are really aware that we are, I mean, with enough notice? Do we feel like it's fine to just have it be part of the select board meeting?
Well, we just approved it for the one
Yeah,
first.
okay,
Too late. Too late.
yeah,
we'll bring more seats.
I feel
No,
like,
we can get the word out, and if it seems like a lot of people are going, then we can have it in the fitness center. And
I think it would be great to do some added, either have the sandwich board out front or to do a post on Facebook. Just to do our due diligence about making sure that people know this is the place where, or the time when they should come and ask questions.
So in that letter was mailed to everybody who has a sewer account.
Okay.
But we
Thank
can
you.
definitely post it on Facebook, and do we even have a sandwich board?
Somewhere, there should be one in here.
Yeah, just as something, May 21st, 5 o'clock. Discuss sewer rate change. Even just on Facebook, I think would be good.
And go over.
So the rate's not being changed, just so we're clear on sewer. It's the cubic feet is being changed.
Sorry, the minimum
Yeah.
usage
Yeah,
amount.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good?
Oh, good.
All right. New business. Fitness center phone?
So I'm gonna be honest with you, Rodek was supposed to be joining in the
He's
meeting.
right over here.
He's here.
Oh, is he?
Yes,
I
he
didn't see
is.
him. Oh, perfect.
Currently, neither the big red phone or the other phones over there, they don't work.
Who's the red one called?
Yeah, we're called 933.
Ah,
Neither of them work. We think it's important that they should work.
I agree.
Agreed.
I don't know what's wrong with them.
Mhm.
I have a feeling there's some wire somewhere that has been cut by Consolidated or by unconsolidated. The consolidated wire is not helping. What we are proposing to do is use we have a little converter box. That instead of sending the signal out over the consolidated line, we send it out over the internet. Makes it really cheap. It's 0.083 cents per minute, with no minutes.
Nice.
$1.15 per number per month. So it works out like less than $5 a month. The little box is $40. And it would take an hour of my time and then 10 or 20 minutes of Gus's time to adjust things. And then the red phone would be able to pick it up, straight to 911. And then we could have the other phone be a phone that people can use as they need it, and also be able to dial in. So I think everyone right now just dials a cell phone number when they need something.
Gotcha. That'd be handy.
It'd be nice to maybe for not the lives that are not have that possibility. We can do voicemail. We want. And eventually we can do it so that if someone does call 911, actually send an alert directly to the EMS Slack channel as it's dialing 911, so that we know that, oh shit, there's someone calling 911 from the fitness center, even before it gets to Knox County.
That's great. No, thank you.
What is Twilio?
Twilio is, they're a provider, so they're like a Spectrum or an AT&T. They don't provide a physical path for the telephone. What they do is they connect to the broader network. So like once our little box talks to Twilio, sending the voice data to Twilio over the town's internet connection. And Twilio or Twilio, no one knows, routes the call outside of basically outside of what is the town, what is our little tiny private phone network that is.
Well,
So they connect to they connect to all the cell phones and 911 and then allow inbound numbers. They're like a number register.
So we wouldn't have to purchase, so the phones that we currently have and the phone systems that exist there, we would not have to purchase new phones to be able to use it.
It's purchased a little box, so it's a little box, it has two, I should have brought it in, but it has two phone jacks, so one for each phone and then an internet
That's the converter
and
box.
then Ethernet jack,
Yeah.
and then it's about the size of a deck of cards,
Mhm.
and just plugs in there.
Awesome.
And then there's an hour worth of typing into it to make it.
What is their like customer service base or like, do they provide
They-
services?
We are not using services that they provide technical support. They're basically they're the pipe.
Mhm.
So the configuration is done by me and Gus. And it's telling the box to point to Twilio
Mhm.
and telling Twilio where is the box. So if a phone call goes out, we say, okay, box, talk to Twilio. Phone comes in, Twilio talk to box. It's like 6 text fields in a line. And what they do provide is 99.9% uptime for phone service. And they do have customer support, but they don't really talk to people who are just using it. Like Fortune 500 companies use Twilio for like big like all your annoying like government like. No,
Do you need an amount on that, Rebecca?
it's. The equipment's $40.
And then your time.
My time, an hour of my time, an hour of Gus's time, so I don't know what Gus charges, but $50 to me, whatever to Gus, and then.
So under 200?
Is it something that would be able to be maintained like? Say you moved off island and we went with this.
Do you want to take the box with you?
No, I'm saying I don't wanna say yes to a service that isn't. That is a little bit more complicated than a regular, just like you sign up for the service, they have customer service, they take care of it.
Gus is on board to
Mhm.
maintain it as well. He has experience maintaining, so the same, because I think Gus maintains the phone system in the building here. Or as I know. Because it's not, because it's a business cell.
Mhm, mhm.
Gus, there is a provider. Who
Yeah.
maintains that.
Yeah.
I think it's Gus.
Yeah.
So he is on board with this, we've talked about the technical details, he knows how to.
Mhm.
And it's a common enough setup that there are other, offline. products.
Okay.
Do you need a set amount, Rebecca, or can we just approve to have the fitness center phone service updated?
I would say looking at it, I mean, you can do a set amount not to exceed. My guess is 200. I mean, Gusco for an hour plus what Prodec has on there.
Great. All right, looking for a motion to approve the installation of the converter box for the fitness center, not to exceed $200.
Second.
We'll see. Jenny, any discussion? There are no discussion, all those in favor? Good, thank you.
Thank you, Rhoda.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
Time.
Sounds like a win-win.
I have to say that he is pretty creative and inventive. He's definitely an asset in this community.
Well, thank you.
That's a
We're
good
definitely
compliment.
filling a need with many businesses of how to update technical services, and it's very appreciated.
I added tinfoil to my antenna. No,
Jeremiah,
thanks for your time.
who made the motion and second on that?
That was Josie and Kenny.
Okay.
All in favor. Thank you for your time. Fitness center proposal, heat pumps.
We just did that.
We do.
Yeah.
No, the heat pumps,
The one from the.
SolarLogic.
Solar
Yeah.
logic, yeah.
So this is for the heat pumps. Is Jamie in there?
She
Yes.
is, yeah, she was just gonna say something.
I was just gonna say, I asked him to revise it this morning because, he had not put in, the estimate, putting in, electric,
Baseboards?
yes, thank you. I think that might be an important feature to have in the bathrooms, because I don't think the heat pumps will reach.
Mhm, mhm.
And that can add a little bit as far as electrical usage, but hopefully, we won't have to utilize them very often, I think only in my really dire circumstances.
Mhm.
And the rest of the time we leave the doors open.
Mhm.
Do you know cost wise?
So that's
But then-
the additional 2,000.
It's an initial 2,000 that's electrical and the installation, so, I mean, the base work themselves are very expensive.
Yeah.
It's the electrical work, and probably moving what's in there.
And do you know if those become the programmable thermostat so that they can
Yeah.
never live and they can be preset?
I think that what we could do is like the thermostats that are in there have lockable covers.
Yeah.
Which we can, install if they don't.
Yeah.
That's pretty cheap, I think. Yes, obviously the rebates are a huge help.
Yeah,
Totally.
so awesome.
And they did a cost benefit analysis, comparison for oil and electrical usage as it is now versus like converting slowly to heat pump. And it's similar or a little bit less. The way he first modeled it on, I think, was at like 60 degrees and using air conditioning at 75 in the summer. I asked him to adjust that because I feel like that's, 75 is a baby amount in the gym in summer. But he said it shouldn't, like even adjusting those temperatures to be more comfortable, 65 would not exceed what we're currently at.
Okay.
What was the cost of the furnace? That was over 30, right? 33.
Yeah.
33,
35.
35.
Yeah,
Jamie, could I ask you a question?
yeah.
I was just curious about the system that's in the public safety building and if that's a similar system to this one, the Solar Logic.
Different.
Okay.
That, this public safety building is 2 oil boilers. That are not very efficient. Yeah, this is completely different. These are heat pumps, so it's all electric.
Okay.
Similar to like residential installation, but supposedly they have a newer generation that's more efficient. It's kind of insane.
Do you know where the outside units would be?
Yeah, so we decided to locate them,
You can do it on the backside?
like egress, where, it's not under the shed roof. Place where that will
Yeah.
not basically be under where the roof is shedding, more than ice.
But it is gonna be on the backside.
Yes, it'll be on the back of it,
Yes. Cool.
and possibly where the oil tanks run now. I don't know, I can't remember if it's in the 2 outside units, but I just one.
And would these be used to heat the storage space for you and
No.
others?
Now, there's no need to heat that storage space. The newer remodel.
Yeah.
It should be fine.
Open the door.
The heat, the wall units will be placed on the east and west side, so it should be able to reach in there.
Good.
Kind of like the modems do now, not that now.
I think it sounds great.
Me too. I think taking advantage of efficiency maybe.
Yep.
Is a good, smart idea.
Do you know what we have in the reserves of that, Rebecca? Or 60?
Sorry, my son was opening and closing the door. It's squeaky.
Oh.
I don't know. I know that we had planned for a boiler at 30 something thousand. So the money is available for.
I think that was right around 60, 58,
Yeah,
60.
so.
My one concern, but it was addressed, was just that heat pump, the electrical bill was gonna skyrocket, but it
Yeah.
also sounds like it actually would come in
If
less.
you have the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that kind of came to me a little later was that we will need to install a hot water heater because the boiler itself does service a hot water heater. So Glenn came in and said that he could do it for 2,000, like max $2,000, so adding another 2,000 to this.
Would
The
still
entire
come,
upgrade.
would still come under the 35 that we had.
And Solar Logics would do the electrical part of that, so that would require people they said that they installed the breaker and Glenn could do the rest, so.
Yeah.
we didn't tell him.
Great.
You don't have that in writing, I tried to get.
Come on, Glenn, give it to us in writing.
So you think we're closer to 40?
Or
Or,
closer to like
Closer to
30.
22.
22.
Yeah, I got 22.8, but with the water heater and everything,
Oh,
That's what-
yeah, so. Adding another.
That's
2,000.
with the water heater stuff.
oh, okay. So should we up to 23 or we gotta go higher now?
Well, do we want to lump in
Glenn, right?
Glenn
Yeah.
right now? Yeah.
I think so.
If you can just move forward.
So do we want to specify in the motion then?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Or-
heat pumps and water heater up to,
Why don't we just make it round up to 23?
yeah, I got 22.8. I just wanna make sure it's enough or we don't have to do it again.
Yeah,
That would be 2,200 to go first. Right.
Yes.
Also tell him.
Hang on,
That's what we-
We said max 2,000.
Okay.
23?
23 and just, it's 51,000 and change in reserve. Right. Or that's what. that's how-
Yeah, I don't know if someone was added, I can't remember, but yeah. All right, looking for a motion to approve the installation of heat pumps and a new water heater. Do not exceed $23,000 in the fitness center.
So moved.
Second.
Kenny, any discussion? There are no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you. Town parking lot, ferry terminal changes.
So after I did a walk with Jeremiah to look at the floats, we looked at the loading and unloading area. When you're looking at where the ferry pulls in the left-hand side, the curbing section, expanding that area, so we would remove that cement block in the middle. I don't know how, about 4 feet, 3.5, 4 feet of it. I reached out to Aaron to get a quote to do that and move the ladder from the thoroughfare side to move it over to where Brown's is. So he gave an estimate of $1,000 to do that. And Jeremiah can add to,
So Aaron's gonna move the ladder too?
that's what I asked him about.
Okay, I reached out to Jerry White to see if he could give us an estimate. I didn't know if he had to do some kind of bracket. He said he was gonna look at it, but I could talk to Aaron too. And then the
Okay.
only other thing was that white pylon that's sticking up next to that ladder, if we could remove that. I mean, it's not just an issue for loading and unloading gear and traps and everything. It was an issue plowing. So instead of pushing it into the water, they just made a huge pile in front of our loading pier. Which, you know, not that many people are out in the wintertime, but that's not ideal. And it looks like the holders for the poles are still underneath that slab. So it's pretty much just cutting out that one section. So when we approved the changes, it was supposed to be a full opening like we had before, and then they ended up, so they ended up putting that 9-inch lip on it, and I'm like, you're really gonna make our loading pier worse?
Mhm.
And then they wanted to put that 3-foot ladder in the middle of a 11-foot opening. And then luckily we got the guy out from the state and he let us have that 7-foot opening on the other side, but. Yeah, I mean, we tried for like 3 or 4 years to have those railings replaced, and then they came out and changed all the plans without saying anything, so.
So I'm all for it, but just to be clear though, like, so we maintain the maintenance and ownership of that parking lot, so we don't have to have DOT involved in any of this?
The state said when they did it, they said we can change it as needed.
Okay.
When they left, but. Well, cause even the people that were doing the concrete, I was like, you see how we load and offload, and then they showed us the plans, and then that's when we had the state get involved, but.
Well, Aaron's estimate is for 1,000, which outlines just the removal of the concrete, nothing about the piling or the ladder. Do we want to just approve money for removing the concrete to get things moving on the project and then reallocate for the other parts of the job later?
I think so.
Cause that would have to be welding done for the ladder to reinstall.
Yeah, that's why I reached out to Jerry White, cause I
Yeah.
took some pictures and
Yeah.
I was asking, cause right now they have, you see these lag bolts, it's like 6 or 8 inch lag bolts that they
Mhm.
put into like a 4x6. And probably put them in like 2 inches, so it's just like a dagger sitting out.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it was not a good install. But I think he is gonna have to make some brackets, but. I think if we could start with that
Start
slab,
with
that would
this.
be, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good to me.
And Aaron might be able to do the piling within that $1,000.
Yeah, I
We
think
can
the
ask him.
piling, I thought about taking my chainsaw down there, but yeah, that'd be nice to remove that.
Mhm.
So looking for a motion to approve Aaron Cabot to remove the concrete slab at the fair parking lot, not to exceed $1,000.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you.
Can I just touch on an agenda item for a second? Rebecca, the town office roof, I don't see it on the agenda.
I thought it was under town administrator updates. I feel like,
I don't see it on the.
It was on-
It's not listed, and I just see Jamie, so it's been.
Yeah, I can
Check that.
get it now.
Well, I just wanted to see if Rebecca, you had intended it for to be in a place that I didn't see.
So I removed it from the
Oh.
agenda.
Okay,
I sent an email to the owner of Deary, letting him know that we would be looking at other options. And then all of a sudden he had a date he'd be out here and ordered the materials. So Jamie's been working with him and I think we're a go.
Next week, I think.
okay, great.
next week.
Has it
I was
been
like,
since,
Memorial Day
yeah.
but yes.
since that progress has been made? Does it seem like they are being communicative and it is so
Yes.
far so good?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, they've never been out here before, so they're just trying to wrap their head around that.
Mhm,
No problem.
We
mhm.
talked about transportation, like, I don't know how many times, and they said we didn't know you lived on an island.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Wrong answer.
yeah,
So
I know.
hopefully it works out.
yeah.
Sorry for the disruption, I just wanted to.
Do you guys need any other updates from the long year? But.
Jamie, do
The-
you want to do an update on the clinic?
Yes.
Yeah. So they put underlayment on strapping, probably strapping was a little too, like before. They should have left the underlayment on. During the rains last weekend, the roof leaked really badly. So there's some damage,
Into the residence.
yes.
Yeah.
We've spent some time looking up in the attic, there's a lot of damp areas, they have their dehumidifiers going up there currently, but I'm walking through there tomorrow from Mountain Property Services staff tonight. Just to look at the damage and see, if I think they'd be willing to replace, they will replace a lot of, severe damage to drywall.
Yeah.
Yes. You pretty much see almost every room out there has a infusion. They're removing, compromised insulation from the attic and replacing it. They have tarped it over and like, because of the weather this week, they left the island. Coming back this week. And just hopefully we can get it done.
Was there anything in the contract with them that laid out these sorts of situations?
No, I don't think it was like. I don't think it was that.
Explicitly said about damage, yeah.
It did say they were insured and everything, so I
Yeah.
would think they've
shown willingness to like, area.
Take responsibility for some of that, yeah, okay.
so they didn't have the they didn't have the color that we picked.
No, I'm sorry, like I didn't see the charcoal color. They had sent me an email and said, we're going with a different fabricator. How does pewter sound? And like, I should have checked with you guys. I said, yeah, go ahead. It's not charcoal. I apologize.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were just talking contrast when we initially talked about it, and I was hoping we could match the clinic with the town
Yeah.
office, but.
These guys are like, they're charcoal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not gonna match.
Is it something that's worth getting a quote for how much the damage is going to cost to fix, to give to them, or?
I think tomorrow, by tomorrow, hopefully it's dried out a little bit with, it already has. But we can really assess like, okay, that needs to be,
Mhm.
that area needs to be replaced.
Mhm.
I hope they will replace all of the insulation out in the attic, not just like,
Mhm.
what just felt wet, so I'm gonna talk, I will push him on that tomorrow.
Thank you.
And then I will actually, I don't know if Rebecca's gonna be here, Rebecca? Would you like to be there for that?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be there.
All right, so we'll make that happen tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah,
How is the flooding, like the wet behind the clinic? Just with all
It's
of
bad.
this rain,
yeah,
bad.
it is bad, yeah, it's a lot,
Yeah.
it's noticeably worse than last year. It's vegetation has changed, it's a lot of vegetation,
Yeah,
and just like walking, it's like 5 feet from the foundation, the sinking like your shins. So I don't know where we're at with Aaron mitigating this little block for now.
I think we're kind of waiting on the church lease that expires in
Yes.
December.
Yeah, okay.
uh-huh.
Yeah, because it's all tied to that area.
And they're not really doing anything this year.
I mean, they said that they wanted to wait to see without the ice rink being there.
That's pretty clear. at this point.
I mean, hopefully it is clear, but yeah, I think,
Geocell pavers are like a easy, affordable fix for getting around the building and addressing like just the surface like
Okay,
area. EJ Prescott sells them, they're like plastic, they walk together, you fill them with material, either gravel or you can like, you can put grass.
okay.
And then, ideally you would do your drainage and all of that first, but and then put those on top.
Yeah,
But if drainage can't happen for a while and you need accessibility around that building, that's a product that is
Yeah.
affordable and easy to install.
okay, that's good, I'll look into that, I'm not worried about accessibility, I'm worried about the foundation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And the.
So oops, sorry. I
Okay.
asked Aaron to provide a quote to look at cleaning out the natural ditching that's back there that's is covered with overgrowth. So I'm just waiting on that.
Thank you. Anything else for us, Jen?
No.
No? Just all good news?
thanks, Jamie.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great night.
Sorry, George.
Thanks, Rhoda.
Just wanna make sure
Where are we
I
at
wasn't
now?
going crazy.
No, I thought maybe she was gonna have that with the
Yeah.
town administrator.
Yeah.
Community project funding grant.
So this grant is like CDS, but it's a CPF. It's community project funding, and this is through Shelley Pingree's office. This came out, this application came out in between select board meetings. This was a quick turnaround. So we went ahead and applied for the same amount that we did with the CDS grant, hoping that we are able to get funding from one or the other. So the amount total that we needed was estimated at 6 million. The grant was requested for 4.8. It's 80% and 20% town. And in the meantime, we will be looking for funding for town match.
And you said even if we're approved, we don't have to necessarily take it.
Correct.
Thank you for being on top of it and
Yeah.
applying for it with such a quick turnaround. I
Seriously.
feel like there's a lot of them that are like, you know, coming up that are quick and,
Moving target.
yep, totally.
I don't think it's typically like that. I think with certain things up in the air, I just don't think she found out until she did. And we needed to get it in. I think it was by last Monday.
Mhm.
So I
You
just
need a
need
vote on-
approval to apply for it, even though we did.
Looking for a motion to approve or to apply for the CPF grant. Your motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Here, no discussion. All those in favor? Thank you. Treasurer's warrants.
So the treasurer's warrants, we had discussed this at a prior meeting. So what this does is takes the warrants off the agenda. And this would be voted on every year. It's for state payments, payroll, and all other accounts payables. It allows Joette to send checks once she has 3 signatures. So say like at the end of May, we had 3 weeks in between meetings. So she has to wait to send those checks until the board votes. So this bypasses all of that.
Yeah,
So
got it.
So basically, it's once there's a majority of select board members that sign off on the warrants, then she can move forward without having to have a vote in the board meeting.
Right.
correct. This is you giving approval for
Yeah.
her being able to send it with the 3 signatures.
I mean, we're approving what we're signing. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. The last thing I want to do is hold up the town office on payments.
The school operates like this.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify though, so it will enable her to be able to send them out with the 3 signatures. But there will still be the 5, like, then the warrants will not be removed so the other 2 select board members will not like see the warrants. Is that
Not
correct?
be able to come in and sign it, but she can still send the checks at 3
Okay,
signatures.
okay. I just wanna
I
make sure that it's
encourage-
like.
yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, work schedules and things like that, that I think that with people with more flexibility, that it could be that it's the same 3 people that are seeing and signing all of the warrants, which is fine, as long as there's an opportunity for the rest of the board to be able
Light
to
size on it.
see and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's
okay.
usually pretty good about letting us know, like, I want to put these out by Friday
Yeah.
or whatever. but-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to enable her to be able to like, once I get 3, I send them out, great, but yeah, just for everybody to be able to have the same opportunity to see and. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like is important.
You need a vote on that one?
I do. This will be something that each
Yes?
new
Okay.
year, you'll vote on it each year. So yeah.
So looking for a motion to approve us to have the town office pay the bills when they have 3 signatures.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Here, no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you.
So. Rebecca, so we'll sign, since we just approved this today, a set of documents like that one of us has for you. That what was in our packet is looking for a signature on each one.
So
For
take one of
payroll.
them and sign it. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I've got them right here.
Okay.
And they'll still be included in the minutes.
In the minutes. No, they won't. This treasurer's warrant takes all that away. You guys will come into the office and sit and review them and sign them.
So the town will not be privy to any of that.
The town is
Information.
privy to everything.
Doesn't matter.
The only thing that they see is what warrant is getting approved anyway. So if they would like budgetary information, they can ask for that at any time.
It wouldn't be in the minutes because it's no longer.
Oh, they're
on the
three
agenda.
different.
Sorry, agenda, sorry.
Rebecca, are there 3 different ones?
Yes.
There are 3 different ones, yes.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Okay.
All good? Yeah, please. Thank you. What was that other one? The water sewer, did that come back?
That was for the.
Or the sewer? Or I start with it?
And the commissioners, letter to the chairman. Water, or the sewer.
What's that?
You can,
A signature for the,
For that letter, but yeah, we were gonna discuss that. Moving to a fiscal year, see attached paperwork.
where,
just. You know, when we get to it, this is the last page.
goes with this.
Can you hear us?
I can't, but I heard Kenny speak and I didn't know if it was on something else. I wanted to not over.
Oh, we were
I
just
don't wanna
talking about the,
No.
that had the letter to the Maine State Fair Service.
Talking about signatures.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have not read this.
Oh.
That's at the end of.
That's
Yeah,
gonna come
we're
up.
good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yep.
So, switching to a fiscal year, speaking with Joette and looking at, how things are currently set up. Many municipalities have switched to fiscal years. In the notes that I gave you in 1970s, Maine legislature mandated that all schools go to a fiscal year, which is July 1st to June 30th. This creates issues for municipalities, who run on a calendar year. For instance, for North Haven, we have to get a TAN. And that is, it's a loan to cover any expenditures until we can actually send out tax bills. We have to wait on the school to do their vote in May or June, whatever they do it. This past year, it was around $20,000. Looking at over years, that's a lot of money that the town is spending. So if we switch to a fiscal year, one, we're saving that money. We're aligned with the school. So we're improving, you see here, we improved financial planning, reduced borrowing costs. It's easier for taxpayers. So instead of one bill, we'll be able to send out requests for 2 payments. My recommendation in here was September 1st and February 1st. So instead of paying a whole amount, they're able to break it up in two. I mean, they could still pay the whole amount if they want to. And yeah, so my recommendation, Joette, as well, is for the board to vote to switch to a fiscal year. And what that'll look like the first year is we would begin budgeting for probably August, for 6 months, for January 1st to June 30th. We would hold a town meeting in November for a 6-month budget. And then we can start budgeting again for a whole year. And that would be July 1st to June 30th. And we could hold a town meeting in either March, April, May, June. It was recommended by town staff that we keep it in March or April, just because it gets really busy in the summertime. So that's what that would look like. And it doesn't go, switching to a fiscal year is 100% up to the select board.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this since I've been on the board, just trying to align us with the school, so. Is the school that they're gonna vote on the overall budget on May 20th, I think, 24th?
That's standard around that time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
By the end.
so we would be able to get pretty close to that.
We could, so we would send out a tax bill for the 6 months. We can send out a tax bill for half a year payment for March, have them pay for March for the January to June. And then when we do commitment in July, then we would send out another tax bill for like September, March. So yeah, that we would be able to, once July hits, be incorporated with the school.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's gonna be a little painful this first year.
Yeah.
getting Transitioned over, but no, we've been talking about it for a long time. I think it makes sense, and I know majority of the town thinks the same way.
yeah, and I appreciate the initiative to like really make it happen. I think it makes a ton of sense. You're right, 20 grand year after year is a huge expenditure to the town. I think as you mentioned, just communicating this like ad nauseum to the community so that they know, at first of all, what their tax payments can shift to or to help families plan, et cetera, but then also how to participate in town meetings. The additional one, and I was just curious, so the town meeting that we would have in November, can we basically take that those end of year numbers and like input them to those last few months? And then, so it's not such a pain, or do we have to?
I think most of it should carry over.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, yeah.
I was just
Yeah,
wondering
so
what
we
that
wouldn't
was.
do, I wouldn't look at, big capital expenditures, things like that for the 6 months. It would be pretty basic 6-month operating budgets.
Okay, great. That was my only concern, was that it was, I mean, it will be a huge effort, but that it would
Not
be just like
completely start
reinventing the
over,
wheel
yeah.
again.
So, and you have to have a town report for every election that you have. So we would do a town report. We would use 2024's audit in the town report. So, I mean, everything, I've been in contact with Maine Municipal. So yeah, we would just use the old audit. And then when we do the vote for the new fiscal year for July to June, we can then use the 2025 audit.
How would that work for, say, elected officials?
Yeah.
So you would keep your
Or-
position. So
Extended?
there would be, there would be no vote on elected officials in November. That person would stay in their seat until June 30th. And then if they chose to run again and get, voted in March, April, whenever it is, then they would just hold their seat. And if they got voted out or chose to leave and somebody else came in, and then somebody else would start July 1st.
So, sorry, for elected officials who are ending their term in spring of 2025, would they have to stay in their current seat until July?
Till June 30th.
Okay, everyone gets a little bonus month, a couple months.
And that's another thing. So you guys keep your seats. You guys run on a calendar year, but you still stay in your seat until after the vote in March, when technically you should really be out of your seat December 31st. Because you're on a calendar year. It's when you do your
Right.
votes.
Oh,
Mhm.
Right.
But we don't vote until March,
Right.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's a unique community.
So this makes it,
Yes, it is, in all types of ways.
beginning might be a little bit difficult, but I mean, explaining everything, but once you
Yeah.
get into the group, it makes it a whole lot easier.
Totally.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like everybody is on board and everybody wants it to happen. I think it is basically just making sure the communication about like, hey, this is gonna be wonky and it's gonna be
Yeah.
different until we get for 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then hopefully we'll find the flow and everybody will
And,
get used to it.
and having really a dollar sign to say, this is what it is
Oh,
costing the
yeah.
town right now, and, yeah, for
That's
sure.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking for a motion to switch to a fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Josie, any discussion? Here, no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah, thank you for doing it.
Yep,
Yeah.
thanks,
thank you,
Rebecca.
Rebecca, for
Thanks.
really motivating.
Town administrator updates. Transfer station.
So ash testing happened last week. What they did was they took the whole ash pile, they broke it up into quarters. They took a bunch of samples from each section and they will mix all those sections together in one vial. And if that comes back clean, then we're good to go. If it comes back where it's high levels of contamination, then they will test each section separately. And if just one of those sections come back contaminated, then we only have to remove that one section as hazardous materials, and we can remove the rest as we would with the regular trash. So that is great. When they came out, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So it takes 2 weeks. So we probably in another week and a half, we'll have results on that. He said the pile looked typical of all other piles.
He didn't dig down deep though, did he?
He did not. He did. He dug down just a couple inches and
Love that for us.
And it was talking to Aaron showed up, and he said he just looking at it, he estimated about 6 or 7 containers to remove the ash to get it level. Once we get it level, then we can start taking materials again. And then once we burn once a year, we just have to have the ash tested and get it removed.
Yeah, I went by Vinyl Havens and they were actually looked like they just burned it again.
They did, and I think I told you the tires are literally 10 feet away from the burn pile.
Yeah.
That's how they get it started.
I thought you were gonna
That's
say
fine.
they were
Yeah.
burning the tires.
Okay.
And where did we say, so say if it's not contaminated, where does it have to go?
Oh,
If it's not contaminated, Gordon Libby just takes it.
And uses it as fertilizer?
I don't know where he takes it to, honestly. I think he takes it to where he.
Thoroughfare does.
Do we know, so there's not like extra costs as far as disposing or transfer or anything like that?
No, just the extra cost of removing
just-
it all.
Right.
So
Okay. That sounds good, yeah.
I'm
Now, if
really
it-
sure that if there is a test that comes back as contaminated, it's not like, oh, scrap it, the whole burn pile. I'm
Mhm.
glad to hear that it is just that section. That's great.
yes.
Well, I am
I'm
fingers crossed for us.
Now you, Rebecca, you made a comment that I just wanted to clarify, so, regardless of how the test comes back, the site is cleared and it's opened back up after everything is done on our end to be able to burn again. We have to do an annual ash test, which should have been happening, but water under the bridge.
Mhm.
But then would we be required to remove the ash from the site every year, or are we allowed to accumulate a certain amount of ash
6
before it
inches.
gets removed?
6 inches.
Forget what the
So
square
it's-
foot is, we can't over 6.
Yeah, so it's 6 inches of ash. So if he burns once a year, I saw the burn pile. My assumption is that we will have 6 inches of ash each
So
year.
it'd probably be a yearly. but-
Yeah, so if he burns and we don't, then we don't have to have it tested and we don't have to have it removed.
Mhm.
My suggestion is that if he burns once a year, we get it tested and get it removed, just so we don't have.
Yeah,
Underlying.
I mean, it looks like some of these places like burn multiple times and then you just scoop it up, put it in the container next to their burn site.
Mhm.
So it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah.
And they just have those concrete dividers that kind of contain it.
okay. That's good, well,
Hopefully,
It's
Hopefully, fingers really crossed.
Yeah.
information.
we'll know soon.
So I said a prayer. When we showed up, I sat down on the rock while he was doing it. The sun was out. It was perfect. And I prayed.
Literally.
Can't hurt.
I mean, I do, yeah, I think, you know, it feels like once we are past the ash test results, for us to circle back about the burn pile and making sure that it is maintained in a.
that'll be a bridge to cross.
Well, that's what I think. I mean, I think let's figure out the results of the ash test and then try to, you know, make sure, yeah.
Looking
that
at
we
some of
are-
these other ones, I think we're actually a lot better off than I expected. Yes. Yeah. So hopefully we're good.
The staff has done an awesome job. What a difference the transfer station has made in the last few months.
Absolutely. No, it
Definitely.
looks great.
So,
Just in time.
yep.
Summer bod for the transfer
Everybody good
station.
on transfer station?
Mhm.
Good.
Thoroughfare?
I just wanted to let you guys know we're starting back up. I let you guys know that we still have the brick that we were already awarded. We have our first steering committee meeting on May 12th at 6 p.m. via Zoom.
And that's with,
Yeah.
GEI, thank you.
Dan?
Yes, it is.
Dan,
GEI,
okay.
Molson, and Claire, you're on here. What is her name?
It's Regina Leonard, the
Yes, Regina
landscape
Leonard.
architect. Yeah.
Landscape. Great.
And how much do we have left in that? Was it 147 or
140 something, yep.
147?
Mhm. Great.
What was the date of that meeting?
May
12.
May
So-
12th. So we have 11 members on our steering committee. 2 members are select board members, and then we have different people throughout the community. We wanted to try, Claire has done a fantastic job at this. Looking at different aspects of people's positions on the island, and many people wear many different hats. So just trying to find those right positions where, you know, you might have somebody who works at Water. So we have somebody who's on the board at Waterman's. They're also the chair of the planning board. So things like that.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Is that you, Jeremiah, and Jacqueline? Are you the two
It
select
seems
board?
like it.
Yep, okay. Good luck.
I mean, it'd be nice to talk to Dan, just see what the next. I mean, I'm sure architect and landscape designer is probably the next step, but I mean. I'm kind of wondering what we can
Gotta
get the
call it.
most bang for our buck until we run out of money before we get another. Hopefully another grant, but
Mhm.
So he's going to go over that at the meeting. I mean, we still have to follow what our application was for the grant.
Yep.
But all of that is on the agenda for Monday.
Great. Yeah, I mean, the
And also-
phase 2 portion, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that, getting that started, but sorry, Claire, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, and I was just gonna say too that the phase 2 proposal that Dan it was all the way, I guess, back in January, which feels like so long ago now. But that proposal that we reviewed at that point with you all was sort of like the breaking down the kind of scope and next steps for phase two. So we can also like recirculate that document for you all if you just want to like read back through it since it's been, since back in January. So yeah.
Yes, please.
That would be great, Claire.
Thank you.
And before we go to Maine State Ferry Service, I have one other thing while Claire is on here. I think I can officially announce it now that I had my Zoom meeting today. We have been awarded the Community Action Grant in the amount of $75,000 with no match. This is
Awesome.
for the engineering for saltwater intrusion. There was 102 proposals, 96 were awarded for a total of $7.3 million.
Wow.
So, and I want to recognize Claire. During that application, I was working on the northern borders and something else. I don't remember. So I asked Claire if she would take this on, and she did. And obviously she did a fantastic job. So I want to thank Claire for her hard work on this grant.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Claire, so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
Again,
Yeah.
thank you.
Happy to. I was really pleased with the outcome, so but yeah, no, I'm excited. We can now get going on this, and we love a no match grant, so
Woo, we do.
it's huge. Yeah.
That's great news. Thank you. Maine State Ferry Service, more great news.
Hi, John.
Yeah.
John, welcome.
So
Yeah, I got it.
What was the great news again?
back a few weeks ago, well, I think it was May 2nd, May 3rd, when I received the email, I went ahead and forwarded it to the board. It was Commissioner Van Note's response or his testimony for the bills. Then he had a white paper. It's like 28, 30 pages long. Did you guys all get to review that?
Yes.
Yeah. So just his testimony itself, I was in awe, I suppose, not in a good way. So John reached out to me today. I'll be honest, I wasn't planning on doing another letter in response. He sent me Islesboro's letter in response to Van Note's testimony and his white paper. So John said it was urgent. So I went ahead and put a letter together. I read Islesboro. So it kind of mimics Islesboro's letter. And it would be from the select board. I think in Van Note's testimony and his white paper is completely off. It's all brand new stuff that he's throwing out. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I thought your letter, I think your letter is so well written, and I do really appreciate that at the end, it brings back like, we are willing to come to the table. Like, we are willing to work together to come up with solutions. And that hopefully he recognizes that, yes, the sort of, I don't know, communication that he's been getting is not a sign of the islands being not willing to work together, that is what has been happening. So anyway, I thought it was great, super well written. And
he mentioned the advisory board but I mean, we have an advisory board in place with very qualified individuals like John, but he doesn't listen. I mean, I would say it was unanimous that the advisory board did not agree with housing the ferries on the mainland. And that was completely, I mean, that was just, their
Yeah.
opinion didn't seem to matter.
No,
That was absolutely unanimous.
yeah,
Yeah,
Every single ferry advisory board member, even from the islands that are not served with daily ferry,
yeah,
were against it and supported it in writing. Every single mainland representative was against it, every single select board for each island or whatever governing board it was. So it was completely unified.
and the ferry staff. I mean, yeah, it feels, yep,
So I haven't seen Rebecca's letter, but I'm confident that it's good. And one area that I'm not sure if it's worth considering, Rebecca, is pushing back where we were put in the light of asking for a 75% share from the state in the white paper. And which, when I asked you, but it didn't seem like that was completely true. That was something that you folks had. I mean, it caught me off guard because I don't remember anything about that.
Well, we talked, so the commissioner asked for solutions.
Right, yeah.
So what we tried to do was, I mean, it doesn't have to be that kind of percentage, or 75-25, but that the state would provide more of a assistance.
Right. And you weren't actually requesting it, you were offering it as an idea.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think perhaps that point might be made, because in the white paper, and it's, let me pick one point here.
But he did mention it in the papers, and in that letter, John, I did mention that.
Okay, good. It says, for example, North Haven recently requested a 75% state subsidy. And
It's not happening.
that sort of rocked me back. I didn't actually believe that was true, because I found out it wasn't really. But I think it ought to be pushed back, and if you did, then great, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hearing him talk on some of these things, I mean, he says like a lot of people from Maine don't use the ferry boat service. And I just think of it as like a road or a bridge that I'm never gonna drive on in the state, but
Yeah.
the state helps offset that cost.
yeah. In that interview that he did, when he was asked directly, do you think that the ferry is a right or a privilege? And he wouldn't answer.
Mhm.
And I cannot believe that he does not think that people who live in remote areas don't deserve the right to get where they live.
right. And I'm just like, if you feel that way, then maybe just, this is not the job
Yeah.
that you should hold. Like, that's okay if you feel that way, but being the commissioner of the Maine State Ferry Service, then maybe is not the right.
So
Free.
he mentions doing like a quasi public, I don't have, where is it at? Oh. Well, quasi, it was not quasi municipal, it was. Anyway, so I mean, what he offered, I mean, there are definitely benefits to it, but it's kind of scary when it comes to paying for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not even really a reasonable recommendation.
Yeah, I agree. No, thank
But
you
if
for
you-
doing that letter. I thought that was, yep, very, very well written, as usual.
Do you guys want any changes to it? I mean, one thing that I had in there was, you know, he had talked about Nantucket. I mean, their income, their medium income is more than 153,000. I mean, looking at ours, it's different for each island. Like ours, I think was 71. Should that, I mean, 80 is still a lot for median income. I mean, do you think
the
it's okay to keep it in there?
I think it's.
I'm-
I think it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think it points to the perspective of every single island is different. And trying to compare small islands off the coast of Maine who rely heavily on the mainland for those services that Nantucket has on island. It's just the one size fits all solution is an absurd comparison.
Yeah. I agree.
To me, it's like a toddler who's not getting their way, so they're throwing out
It
ridiculous.
feels like it feels like a tantrum.
That's what I
honestly.
It does.
Tantrum.
Yes. And I think having some people hold some boundaries and I think that's what you usually have to do with toddlers that are having tantrums. So.
So if you guys are okay with the letter, then, I mean, if you sign it, I will get it mailed over.
No, we all signed it and then, I'll just leave it by the computer tonight before I lock up.
Okay.
And you said that this kind of, is in line with a letter that was already drafted on behalf of the Islesboro Board?
So you have that. I printed it out. It's in your paperwork.
Yeah.
John actually sent that to all of us.
Yeah, no, I think it.
Yep.
Well, we're all on the same
Rebecca, is it possible to send these documents or send that document to me to sign via DocuSign, or is that a pain in the butt?
No, we did it before, didn't we?
Yeah, I was just thinking for the treasurers, for that and for this, I would be happy to sign it.
So the
if you have
treasurer's
a
thing
chance
we
to
have
sign
set
it.
aside for you just when you get back, but I can send this over to you. Yeah.
Okay, and I just wanted to see it because I'm not sure I saw that one, but I did see Islesboro's response.
And John, I would really like your feedback on the letter.
You would like feedback?
Yes,
Yeah, I
please.
would like your feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it sounds like everybody signed it or signed on to it. But I read through it quickly. It seemed like you covered the place. If I read it more closely and I see something, like a suggestion I want to make, how would I do that?
Just let us know. Yeah, just
Yeah,
send
just
out an
let us know.
email. Yeah. If we had to re-sign it, we can re-sign it.
You just can't change the signature page. Anything that's on the signature page has to stay the same.
I know, we just
Spacing.
decided this last page, so any edits you have on any of these pages.
Okay.
This is kind of short.
Yeah.
I do want to say, this is an example, I think, of where working together with the other islands.
Yeah.
Really is a benefit. And I mean, there's oftentimes when our needs are, are at loggerheads and we're competing for a boat or time or whatever. But mostly we have pretty similar needs. And I found it really good to be able to have a really good working relationship with several people on Islesboro business and on
Swans.
on Island and Swans.
Yeah.
Yep. And when we first were dealing with the ferry on the overnighting in the mainland, we were the first ones to present a letter, and Islesboro, I think, got some, encouragement from seeing that. So it works both ways. But anyway, that's sort of a positive thing that I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
Is coming out of
It's
this.
nice to be on the same page and
Totally.
have each other's
It's
back.
too soon probably to really know or to drill down on the details, but the 45, 35, 10, as you said, I don't know if you mentioned that exact breakdown, but it's expensive for the islands at 10%.
Yeah.
It's $300,000 a year, right? So that's not good.
No.
I think we're gonna have to be good. In dealing with this. Because this is definitely out there now.
Yes, it is.
And again, it's one of those things that needs to be, and I haven't talked with Dennis Damon, who is the chair of the advisory board. And he's an old hand at the transportation committee, having been a state senator and having been on that committee. So, and he knows Bruce Van Note. I don't know how well they know each other, but I know that they chat after meetings together. They're sort of at the same level of people, or experience. So I plan on talking with Dennis and seeing what he thinks. Because that would be good to know as far as how the advisory board might be guided in this. And I can have a little bit of influence with him, I think.
Thank you.
I mean, like this info that we got that like shows Van Notes of opposing or limited support for the various bills in front of the legislature, and the one LD 1731, which would give a little more say to the Ferry Advisory Board. He, in the white paper and on the phone, he publicly speaks about wants to have, you know, more
input from the
communication and more input from, but then outrightly opposes legislation that
recommendation.
would
Have to
actually,
give more power to, yeah.
it's just very telling.
Mhm.
Rebecca, do you remember the advisory board meeting? I'm quite sure you were at it. Maybe it was in January.
Is that the one in Rockland?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it was a regular advisory board meeting.
Yeah.
And not the one, I didn't know about the other ones, I wasn't here, but. At that meeting, the commissioner was there, and at the end, he stood up and said that he needed some help. And do you remember that? And it's sort of like he was, I mean, I didn't know what to make of it, really. Because it seemed so out of character. And he's looking for, you know, input and advice and help. Do you remember that, Rebecca?
I do. So in my opinion, what he was doing was trying to get the different communities to speak up and hopefully putting their foot in their mouth. That is my opinion. He was trying to set people up.
Yeah.
Did we do that? I don't think we did we?
Not too bad.
No. I think everybody who spoke up actually says, well, I have to take this back to our select board, which was great.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's what he tried doing on the phone,
Mhm.
trying to get us to pigeonhole us
So-
into like advocating or saying certain things.
Mhm, mhm.
We did that when he got off.
Mhm.
Everybody good on that?
Yep,
Thank you, John.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yes, please do.
I forgot to get back to you. No, can I give you my email address?
Oh, yeah.
Just put this on here.
Yep.
Did you have anything else
Odin
on,
did tell me, and then I
town
forgot.
administrator updates?
Pardon
I said Odin did
Oh,
tell me.
No,
that
I
you
do
called and I forgot to get-
I had a
Anything
quick
else?
question. Oh,
Go.
I might have missed this when I had trouble logging in the beginning, but are we getting an update on the clerk position or?
You took it from me.
Oh, sorry.
So I took that off the agenda. We had a remarkable candidate. And we emailed to set up a second interview, and they decided that they could not move forward. I emailed them back and asked if they would still be willing to meet with me, just one-on-one, and I did not get an email back. So we will be putting it back out. We are waiting to put it back out until Joette gets back from vacation, because I don't want her to look at Facebook and see that it didn't work out.
Was
Thank
it
you.
just one candidate, Rebecca?
So there were 4 candidates, actually. 2 of them one was from Ohio, one was from Philadelphia, one was from Nigeria.
Full on commute.
Housing is,
Yeah.
the one from Nigeria was pretty great. But housing is an issue. And once we explained the difficulties with housing, it was, there was concern there from the candidates. And the one from Nigeria, I mean, we could absolutely do this, but we would have to apply for a work visa.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody local
Interesting.
was interested?
There were 2 locals.
Good.
So,
We'll put
but
it
we
back
will be
out,
putting
see
that
what
back out once Joette gets back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on to calendar.
So May 16th, we have the strategic planning meeting. Um,
Thank you.
May 21st, regular board meeting, June 4th, regular board meeting. So just so you guys know, June 5th, I have a training in Augusta. I will have to leave early in the afternoon. I'll be zooming in on that June 4th meeting as well. Because I'll never make the training in time. It starts at 8:30. And then June 18th.
Just to put it on everybody's radar, this potentially is my last meeting for a little bit. Depending, my due date is the 20th, so depending on when the baby decides to show up. But yes, my hope is to take one or two meetings off and then to be zooming in. If that feels okay to everybody.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, great.
No, we expect you to be there on the 21st and every meeting after.
In person.
I mean, if there is no baby, I will probably be like, I mean, I might be zooming in to that one, but yeah.
Do we need to put that thoroughfare waterfront project one on there for the 12th, or that doesn't need to be on there?
I don't think that needs to be on there. It's not a select board. Well, I mean, we could.
No.
Rebecca,
Like
I
the-
think
Oh,
I
go ahead.
still plan on attending the May 16th strategic planning meeting.
And if we can get another select board member in there, that would be great.
You're rocking time.
I don't think I can do the 16th. I'd have to look to see if that's possible. I think I've got something going on.
What time
Right there.
on the
It's
16th?
11:45 and he
The
said.
16th, it's gonna start about 11:45 and then, it'll end, him and I both have to get on the ferry at the 3:45 ferry. So my niece is getting married, so I gotta get back. I gotta get off island. So he's thinking 3 hours. I mean, anything longer than 3 hours is probably not productive anyway.
Yeah. All right, when we get a little closer, then hopefully one of us can tag along on that. But next week.
Next
Yeah,
Friday. I
Maybe
unfortunately
Friday.
have staff. Meeting after school on Friday that day.
No idea.
I could possibly
Is it
zoom in.
something-
It's not ideal, but I just have to look at the time zone change and then I'll be back on the island pretty soon. So, but I'll look and send an email if it's something that I can do.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Probably 2 in the morning then.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be in the middle of the night, isn't it?
If it's not outrageous, I'll do it. But if it's outrageous, I might not.
Everybody good on the calendar?
Yep.
Looking for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We'll see.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks for.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Rebecca. Thanks, Jacqueline.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.